One of the programs that we have on the cover disc for you this month is Paragon Exact Image Special Edition. This is a program that will allow you to create image backups of your discs so that you can take a full image of what is on your disk and back it up to some external drive or onto another partition on your computer or whatever, so that if you have a crash, you will have a good chance of getting your data back, or if your computer for some reason doesn't start any longer. When you start the program up, you're going to get this little message saying that you don't have any backup capsules on your system. A backup capsule is really just a secure place to store your backup so that it's a little bit more protected so that you can't accidentally delete it. I haven't created one on this machine. You don't have to. You can still back up even without a capsule. So you can just click no. If you don't click this do not show this message again option, you'll see this message over and over again. And so you could in actual fact create a capsule if you wanted to. The other way that you can create a capsule is by this Manage Backup Capsule wizard, and this in actual fact creates a backup capsule for you if you don't already have one. Here you've got a plan of what's available on your system right now. I have one hard disk here, and it's got a small FAT16 partition and then a much larger NTFS partition. I also have a D drive which is actually a zip disk, so it's being shown there with what's available unused and free space on it. As you can see, this disk drive, this is the used portion of it and this is the unused portion of it. So I'm going to have a lot of difficulty backing up this disk onto itself because there simply isn't enough room. To back up this, I will need to use some external method of backing up. For example, I could back up onto DVDs, or I could also back up onto a network drive if I have a mapped network drive to do so. Let's have a look at the backup process. When I back up, I'm actually going to back up this smaller FAT16 partition just simply because it's a smaller one to manage in the video, but the process is exactly the same regardless of whether you're backing up very large partitions full of data or, for example, just your primary partition as I'm going to do. I'm going to select this backup hard disks or selected partition option, and the wizard will then open. I'm going to step through the wizard, click next. Now I get to choose what I want to back up, and what I want is this primary partition. It's a very small partition, so it's an ideal size to do on this video. The size of the object to back up is given to me, and the estimated archive size is also stated. In actual fact, I haven't used very much of that primary partition, so in actual fact that's why it only needs a small amount. Let's have a look and see if I was trying to back up my 111 gig hard drive, well, the main partition. As you can see, I would need to have an allowance of say 92 gigabytes to back that up onto. So I would need some serious numbers of DVDs, or I will need space on a network drive. We're just going to back up this primary FAT16 partition. We're going to click next. Now I get a choice as to where I'm going to back up to. I can save data to a local or network drive. Let's just step into that and see. Here I'm given the choice of my drives. I have local disk C. I would have space enough for that on that disk C. And I also have disks V, W, and X, which are mapped network drives. So I could save it onto any of these drives. If I click on the drive, it tells me how much space is available. So I have nearly 600 gigabytes available on this disk. So there's obviously more than enough to back this very small archive onto. So this gives you the option of backing onto local disks or network disks. The other option you have is to save data to physical partitions. If you have a hidden partition or a partition that's not supported by your current operating system, you can use that. I don't have any, so I won't be using that. The other alternative is to burn the data to a CD or a DVD. Now, because I've got such a small backup here, I'm actually going to use the CD option. So I'm going to click next, and now I get a choice to select my drive. I'm actually going to burn it directly onto my NEC drive here. This is the archive name, which I can change if I want to. This is the estimated archive size, and all I need to do now is to just click next. I can now choose to back up immediately, or I can schedule the backup. I could schedule the backup for later in the day. Let's have a look at the schedule option. Now I can select whether I want to run it once or on a regular basis, and I'm going to set it for a little bit later in the day. So I'll just click next. And now the process is set up and I get this backup summary. Now I would get this if I chose to back up immediately or if I've chosen to schedule it for a future time. So this is your sort of get out point. If you decide not to go ahead, this is where you could just simply click cancel and get out of the process. And this program is very good at giving you out points. It tends to tell you exactly when you're at the very last step before you're going to do something, and it does give you the chance of changing your mind. So you can step forward through a number of processes just to have a look, for example. At this point I could change any of these. So if I changed my mind, I could click any of these links to go back to that portion of the wizard to make those changes, but I'm happy with that, so I'm just going to click next. And this is now scheduled. I'm finished with the backup wizard, so I can click finish, and now I'm done. So that's the basis of creating a backup. You will just need to make sure that you've got something that you can back up onto that's going to have enough space, because really when you're backing up a drive such as this very large hard disk, I need pretty much the same amount of size later on. I've got 102 gigabytes of used space. I'm going to need about 92 gigabytes to back that up. So whatever you've got in terms of used hard disk space, that's about the amount of space you're going to need to allocate to back up. The other thing that I suggest that you might do is have a look at this Recovery Media Builder. This is a tool for creating a disk, a removable disk, it might be a floppy disk or a CD, that has these tools on it that you can use if, for example, your computer doesn't boot up. Just going to click next. You get a simple choice of do I want to write onto a CD or a floppy disk. I'm going to choose CD. Click next. Then a typical is what you will want, unless you have anything particular that you want to add to the collection. You're just going to use typical at this stage and click next. Select the drive that you're going to burn onto or copy the files onto if you're using a floppy disk. Click next, and now you can choose your writing speed and whether or not to eject the disk after writing, and then just click next, and at this point you have to insert a writable disk into your drive and click next to start the writing process. Now I've already created that disk, but that's a simple process that you can take to make sure that you've got all these Paragon tools available so that you could recover or at least get access to your computer in the event of it failing to boot up. I'm just going to click cancel to get out of here. So this is the Paragon Exact Image Special Edition that we have on the disk this month. I'd suggest that you have a look at the help system. It's got a very, very good help system which is open inside the program so that you can get information about it. Just be aware that it's just a tab so that you can just click Disk View to go back to where you were working. Help system takes you into help. It's a nice little program. It does its job very well. It's very, very easy to use, and I think that if you haven't got a backup already, you could do a lot worse than getting to work with Paragon and making an image of your hard disk so that in the event of failure you have something to recover from.